welcome to each and every one of y'all here. This is personally our first on-ground event after the whole pandemic scenario, and in this new normal that is there. And it's so great to see people and see faces and us networking and meeting once again. And it's brilliant to have all of y'all present here today. Obviously, each and every one of y'all have got an document or in brief about what the summit is about and what we are doing here. But, and I'm pretty sure, I think after green and sustainability, this is one of the most used term in our industry. And, but who knew that this would be one of the biggest game changers to the times that had preceded us before this. So, and it still is evolving, it still is changing, and at such a dynamic rate. Especially I see it because my own office went through such big transformations during this period, and ours is still in small level. I'm just wondering the organizations and speakers that we have here, at the scale that they were managing this, at the magnitude that this went on is kind of amazing, and they're still kind of grappling with it and taking it forward. So we have some amazing speakers here. We have some great lineup of experts who will be here sharing their thoughts and their procedures and the strategies that they've adopted. So I'm not going to take much time, and I'm going to quickly introduce and call upon Mr. Indrajit Saoji, who's the director at ITP Media Group, to quickly come on stage and probably give you a quick welcome note and an opening address. Indrajit?
We are meeting after 2 years, come on. It's my absolute pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this 8th annual Smart Office India Summit. This is our first on-ground full-day conference post the pandemic, and it's overwhelming to see such a fabulous response. Last 2 years have been tough for all of us, personally as well as professionally. The industry has witnessed the worst in the known history, and we have literally risen from the ashes. Fortunately, we have all gathered here today to celebrate the zeal, resilience, and excellence, and to learn from each other how to move ahead smartly. Today, I salute each one of you and your fellow colleagues who have braved this and left the worst behind, and in the worst of the times have kept the economy rolling. You all deserve a huge round of applause. Let me give you a brief about who we are. ITP Media Group is one of the largest foreign media companies in India. The group is headquartered out of Dubai and now publishes more than 100 weekly and monthly magazines, and has a wide portfolio of market-leading digital and event properties. Some of our well-known global titles includes magazines like Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, Time Out, Cosmopolitan, Grazia, Construction Week, Hotelier, Architect and Interiors India, and more similar prominent titles across industry vertical. In India, we have 7 titles, namely Hotelier India, Architect and Interiors India, Manufacturing Today, Construction Week, Healthcare Radius, Digital Studio, and of course our flagship brand, Commercial Design, that you may see on your tables right now. Under the umbrella of Commercial Design, we organize this annual conference called Smart Office India Summit. Why Smart Office? Remote and distributed work is happening all around the world, and it's steadily increasing day by day. COVID-19 has just fast-tracked this conversion from conventional to smart. But the work from anywhere movement isn't just for the remote workers. A smart office helps leaders future-proof their organization, and hence need the tool to make sure their offices work well for both employees who are working on-site, remotely, or in distributed satellite or co-working offices around the globe. It also helps provide valuable insights so leaders can make data-driven decisions about implementing new workplace technologies. The global smart workplace market is expected to hit USD 47 billion by 2023. And growing at a CAGR of 13% approximately. The Asia-Pacific region alone is expected to grow at an even faster rate of more than 19% CAGR. But what accounts for this exponential growth? Growing economies are a major contributor, especially the service sectors. According to a published report, the Asia-Pacific region is some of the fastest growing economies of the globe. As a result, companies around the world want to expand into this region, driving up the demand and prices for land and office spaces, making them some of the most expensive cities in which to run an office. Smart office allows companies to efficiently use this existing office space, literally opening up more floor space. In today's summit, we have the experts and best of the minds in the industry. They'll try to cover the complete ecosystem of smart office, what you can achieve by implementing smart office technologies, and how to start designing and building your own smart offices, and a lot more when you meet offline. And finally, a big thank you to all of sponsors for believing in us and helping us bring this physical event back. A big thank you to Siemens, our gold partner. Thanks, Amal. You have been really instrumental to make this happen. A big thank you to Comscope, our smart connectivity partner. Thanks, Ashok and Mr. Malaria, for all your support. 75F, our innovation and technology partner. Thanks, Mr. Burnburn, for all your help. Crestone, our unified communication partner. Thanks, Mr. Jayaprakash. And GACS, our knowledge partner. Without further ado, I'll hand over the forum to Rashmi. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the day. I'm sure you will all enjoy it as much as we enjoyed putting it together for you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Indrajit. All right, so now we are legit starting off with the first session of the day. And all right, so this one has been a real conceptual thing for me herself because I've known her for a real long time. And she's been an absolute sweetheart to actually express and even tell me about what she is being more passionate about, what she wanted to address here, and talk to y'all about what she's been doing so innovatively and so passionately at the company. So let me quickly introduce Ms. Renuka Rajgopal, who is the Senior Director Workplace for VMware. And well, I know a lot of y'all already know her, but I'm quickly just going to run through a formal introduction for her. So she's an alumni of the Harvard Business School, and she's a passionate champion of being inclusive and strongly believes that everyone has value. She's a leader who aligns business strategies by creating and driving value for every person involved. At her current role as a Senior Director of Workplace at VMware, she co-leads VM Inclusion Council for India, a workforce diversity, equity and inclusion enterprise initiative for VMware, which is focused on harnessing the power of human difference for transformative solutions and better business outcomes. She's also a founding member of Women in Real Estate Network, an association for women professionals engaged in the real estate industry, and is also registered as which is also registered as a non-profit society. Now, though she is being so ahead of the entire inclusivity program and about leveraging the women into this, and obviously she's been asked several lot of times about how she feels being a leader in this industry in this otherwise male-dominated domain. And she has this really interesting take on it, which is unusual coming from someone like her in her position. So, and her title for this particular presentation is Learning Flexibility and Optimism in Workplace. But beyond that, what she's talking about is how leadership goes beyond the basics and the mandate. How leaders can actually change much more than what is just mandated by the companies. So with this, I'm gonna welcome Renuka onto the stage and ask her to take it on.
Thank you. Thanks, Rashmi, for that generous introduction. She was really, really kind. Thank you, everyone who's present here today. It's been an absolute pleasure, delight, and an honor to be in the midst of this esteemed gathering. Thank you, ITP Commercial Design Magazine, and Rashmi for inviting me to this prestigious forum. So, continuing from where Rashmi started off, I just want to recall one of the events that I attended recently. During an intercorporate event that I participated, one of the questions at that session was, why is it important for women to lean in, or in other words, to take on or to take charge? Anyone wants to share their thought? And anyone wants to go ahead? What's your thought on it? Why is it important for women to lean in, or to take on, or to take charge? I'd love to hear anyone's thought on this. Yes, absolutely. So I agree with that. So my take on this is, like, it's not about the gender. It's for everyone. Our opportunity to pay it forward Every individual should assume responsibility, take charge, add value, and contribute in their own special way to a wider or a bigger purpose. This connect that we are all privileged to attend here today, I'm sure is a part of a purpose in our journey as well. The last 24 months has changed the world in every way. In fact, it has changed everything around us, for businesses, for leaders, for employees, for the world. One thing that's also becoming clear is that the power has shifted. It has moved to the people to make choices, to being flexible, to wellness and well-being, to being more empathetic, and most importantly, from me to we. With changes that were forced on us, we became more agile, adaptable, collaborative, innovative, and also let us find a jugaad. We embrace technology lots more than ever before. So as we talk about the corporate real estate world, the build industry and workplace, among many experiences, 4 things stood out. How we are leading and disrupting the design concepts, focus on new learnings, flexibility, and beyond all, our optimism. Throughout the evolution of office design, we have seen many elements come and go, resurface, being repurposed, and being disrupted. From what was called the cubicle farms in the 1980s, to the virtual offices in the 1990s that came up with the World Wide Web, to more casual offices and more of alternate work settings in the year 2000 and beyond, to the next decade that witnessed more of activity-based seating, it evolved and disrupted many times over. I'm sure some of you like me who have been working from the 1990s and in the 2000s and beyond, in the midst of all those rapid office expansions that were happening, the discussion centered around the number of seats, cost per seat, density, cost per square feet, permanence, and lots more. So let's shift gears. So now what are we talking about? As we look at the future of work, is it about office space or people space? It's definitely people space. We are talking about adaptability, being fluid, experience, well-being, technology, and tools. Strategy discussion should be around purpose, people, culture, innovation, risk-taking, and making a quantum leap and going beyond. With workspaces being conceptualized with a 10-year roadmap and beyond, this would also mean asking tough questions, challenging discussions, agree, and more, agreeing to disagree as well. I remember some of our discussions when we were looking at office expansions in the year 2018-19, we were coming up with the new offices. The discussions and on the projects, it was almost, everything was around business and growth strategies, size of the organization, how is your business changing in the coming years, how is your business alignments going to change, or mapping these answers to understand around innovation and execution that translates into physical spaces, collaboration spaces, and flexible space. Let me tell you, it wasn't easy, or I cannot say that everybody's answers came together. It was a discussion on its own. Hybrid and flexible workspaces require new types of technology and behavioral change, and all the pilot opportunities to be pursued. In VUCA world, volatility being inevitable, the workspace needs to be ready to be rapidly responding to the next disruption in the future. I just want to cover some of the major trends that has been part of as we talk about leading and disrupting, what has been the discussions been around. The first one is on shared experiences, community spaces, trust, and value creation. There's a whole new appreciation for people to come together and a renewed sense of community in a hybrid work environment. At VMware, we have neighborhood concepts with flexible seating and ample collaboration areas for business teams to come together. The need is also to ensure that the employee's experience remains relevant, whether they work primarily in the office or home or between the two. Safety and compliance, the second most important topic. Rules and regulations are among the top reasons that there is no single global return to work policy or office template today. Hybrid working decisions have local and national compliance ramifications, taxes, insurance, childcare, that challenge policy creation, and we can see that there's lots happening around the space. Conscious sustainability, the third point. Recent studies from across industry shows that approximately 63% prefer hybrid work and smarter, efficient workplaces than what it is during pre-COVID. The emerging workforce is shifting their priorities to strive for a better, conscious, and sustainable world. During our new hire orientation sessions that happens at our office, some of the questions that newcomers or the employees come up include, is my workplace sustainable? What are your well-being standards? How can I become a green ambassador? Do we have a cycle parking? Information about electric cars for employee transport. Is the power for the electric vehicle, is that green power? How do one volunteer for some of these initiatives? So you can imagine that it's shifting. We are talking about conscious sustainability. Adding on, distributed cloud, distributed workforce, and distributed operations is bound to create environmental, social, and economic impact and more possibilities for employees from diverse communities, backgrounds to grow and shape the business of their future. The last one is on wellness and well-being. Reevaluating policies, technology, amenities, and more to improve the employee experience and well-being of all employees, whether they work primarily in the office, at home, or divide their time between both the places. It's an absolute essential. So as we look at VMware, as we look at some of our goals between now and 2030, in response to world's urgent challenges, we have identified 30 goals of environmental, social, and governance impact that we will drive progress, measure, and report. This is being done by investing in co-innovation and collaboration within our ecosystem of customers and partners. And some of these include achieving net zero emissions, driving e-waste responsibility throughout our operations, ensuring business resilience, and to invest in innovations at the intersection of economic, social, environmental, and fiscal impact. With that, when you know that there's all of changes and disruptions happening, the next question will be on the learning. A learning experience of mine from 2017, it's during an office expansion. There was a lot of technologies being brought on the table saying that these are things that we can go with. But one of the important questions at that point was, how do we leverage this once we buy the product? How does the team leverage it? What do they do with the data? How is the teams going to operationalize it, and what are we going to do with the data? To make it strengthen our decision making, I mean, we spoke to an end user who said, like, our team, we have the technology, but our team has bypassed it and we have put it on manual. So that speaks a lot about how we should bring this whole thing together. It's not just the product. I think the product has to run its life cycle. We are talking about 360-degree of how the product runs to see that efficiency. We are seeing the efficiencies. We are seeing the predictability. We are seeing the smart applications really, really coming together. And that is the learning that's there ahead of us. It's a focused and accelerated approach that needs to come right from the beginning of introducing the product to the FM operations team, including with the designs and including the designers, consultants, and all of us coming together. We really need to make the journey happen. It's a two-way street, and everyone invested should lean in to make that transformation happen. As someone who wears all three hats of leasing, building, and operations as part of my job, I'm passionate about this holistic approach for our continued learning. At VMware, as we integrate workplace applications on technology platform for enhanced experience for the front end as well as the back end operations, data intelligence, efficiencies, combined predictive analytics, there are lots to learn in this segment and adapt. The other thing is I definitely cannot learn all this at this point of my time, and I definitely can't walk the journey completely. What's the best options that we have? The best way is to hire subject matter experts who are more capable, proficient, with a diverse approach and a force to reckon. So how do you know that you have the best employees in your team? Well, you know it when they do not accept the strategies that you bring on the table. They would suggest modifications based on the fact that they are closer to details. So that is, to an extent, when I say agreeing to disagree and alignment, it speaks all. But ultimately, what we are talking about is what is best for us, what's best for the organization, the team, and for self. The growth is important. Depending on the specific industry that we are, the design and the build industry is experiencing an increasing implementation of digital technologies such as BIM, Building Information Modeling, AR, VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, prefabrication and design for manufacturing and assembly platforms, DFMA, robotics, blockchain, digital twins, Internet of Things. It speaks all the scope of learning that we have when we have to integrate design, technology, application, and being predictive on the other side. To succeed as a team, I think it is important that we are creative about talent acquisition and talent management strategies. Invest in building a diverse and an inclusive team for upskilling, critical thinking, problem solving, and immersive learning experiences. I think also another thing that can help is shadowing each other so we learn through the process. Learning agility is a powerful self-tool for creating sustained value for the organization, for team, and for self. So when we are talking about learning, we are talking about disruptions. Also important is the third topic, and that is to do with flexibility. One of the questions that was asked during my job interview was, what else defines you as a person other than the work? To date, it's one of my favorite questions. It spoke volumes in many ways of the interviewer, of the organization, of the culture, and of the expectations. Following which, when I had this opportunity to lead VM Women, this is in 2014, and when I asked my manager, the response was, I would only be surprised if you say a no to this. So that speaks about the mindset. It speaks about the encouragement. It also speaks about the confidence that the person has to ask you to take on additional responsibilities, do something that you're passionate about, and go beyond your work and succeed and see success and continue, be the best version of yourself whatever you do. One of the recent studies, now let's come to the office front. One of the recent studies mentioned that there are 3/4 of C-suite executives said they expected the core employees to be in the office at least 2 to 3 days or more in a week. While most acknowledge that the work from home is efficient, they also believe that it would have an impact on the organizational culture as well as a sense of belonging in the longer run. In sharp contrast, when the same study was done with 5,000 employees across regions, across organizations, they mentioned that they would like to work from home for 2 or 3 more days in a week. So more than half wanted at least 3 days of remote work. While flexibility is key, you can imagine that it's a conflicting want. So the patterns are yet to emerge, and it's very, very clear that it's not going to be one size fits all. The strategies would be different for a campus versus a hybrid or a flexible working environment versus a co-working to complete remote working. Flexible work policies and a distributed and an inclusive work environment would enable many qualified professionals to be part of the future. We need more women in the build industry to reflect the society that we live in and more. Genuinely, my ask is genuinely help qualified women professionals who have taken a career break to join back to the workforce. Research in India mentions that while nearly 51% drop out of the workforce across industries, almost 91% of the women want to return to work after a career break, and more than 50% are unable to find that suitable opportunity. And that's the scope that we have. All this brings to the last topic that I have, and that's to do with optimism. Being a perpetual optimist and forever grateful for all the blessings that I have, I strongly believe everyone is here for a purpose and everyone has value. During conversations and sometimes in the midst of tough situations that I've heard this remark on myself that I'm too optimistic. If I ask that question to myself, I don't think I want it any other way. Always, and another side, always been captivated by people who go beyond the call of their leadership framework to lead a social cause, to volunteer, to support humanitarian causes. I've always been curious of how they manage to do this in a sustained manner, and they sustain this passion and optimism, and they're just going from one to another. There's no stopping. And when I spoke to a few people, there are three important factors that stood out. What makes a leadership journey go beyond? Let it be at any stage in their career, and why is it essential for them to have that passion to do something over and beyond? The first one was, they said, giving it back to society. In other words, they spoke about paying it forward for the next generation. Mentoring is one such example. Many of them, they say they do mentoring because they are contributing to the next generation. And also another important part of that is to do with reverse mentoring and the learning that you have in the process. So paying it forward for the next generation, health and well-being, relationships, intrinsic happiness that's priceless and is most valued. I can speak on this because being a mentor and opportunities that I had for reverse mentoring, I would say that has made a huge difference in my life, and that journey has been priceless, and I would continue on that track. Second one is a bigger purpose that is driven by passion. Passion for contributing for a larger purpose, passion for growth, passion for well-being, which is emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, and physical well-being. More than 80% of them, they said, when they spoke about a bigger purpose, they said they practice a healthy diet, have some form of exercise, mindfulness, meditation, or a wellness practice. One thing that stood out for me from a friend of mine is that she writes a gratitude journal to practice well-being. Another person who said, she spoke about a grandmother who died at the age of 85 plus, who happens to be her muse. She, the grandmom, started learning dancing at the age of around 4 or 5, started loving it at a very young age. She ran a dance school and never stopped dancing till the day before she died. Another one this is from a book, and another one that I read about and found very interesting is spiritual windshield wipers. This person writes a page every day morning. It could be cribbing, it could be mourning, or it could be some thoughts. But the pages are done to clear the head along with a morning herbal tea. And that herbal tea is a concoction, or is a mix of ginger, cinnamon, and some other herbs. Sounds crazy as it is, but according to her, it's very, very rewarding. The third point is experience excellence. Life is a series of experiments. Nearly most of them volunteer for projects or specific works on their own time and dime and for their own intrinsic reasons. The bigger question that followed from my end was, would you like it any other way? The answer was a clear no, irrespective of the fact that they are the fact was they are comfortable being uncomfortable as well. So to close, there are certain patterns that emerge as we look ahead. Purpose. The reason for which something is done, the higher the purpose, higher the intrinsic motivation and the desire to lead. A massive opportunity to lead and disrupt lies ahead all of us. The playbooks or the pilots are yet to be there. The hybrid environment is still emerging, and no one size fits all. Anybody can demonstrate good leadership. People, human experiences, relationships, flexibility, empathy, well-being, and wellness are key. Being inclusive, designing for the future means taking an inclusive approach, using a multitude of perspectives that can come from various disciplines to achieve a holistic solution. This would mean, at the center, what we call it, the design thinking framework. So, as we look at it, the qualities of a good leader are a blend of technical, strategical, creative, and people skills. To stay relevant, continuously reinvent. So as we continue to reinvent the workplace and stay relevant, one would see more of science-based solutions integrating with emerging technology to deliver employee safety at an even higher level of employee well-being. So to sum it up and close, I just want you to leave this with this message. If leadership is the act of going beyond what is, begins by going beyond what is within ourselves. Thank you.